Good morning, Houston, Texas. Good morning, America, wherever you are watching from. Thank you for tuning in to the Patriots Den, a Mike Kahn production on Radiodabang. I am your host, Patrick Purdom. I'm here with my amazing co-host,
Brian Fuentes.
Good morning, folks. Listen, last week I was not here, and so I want to give a thank you to Brian, who put on an amazing show. I want to also give a shout out to Nathan Bigelow for stepping in, taking my place. Amazing show yesterday. You guys, make sure y'all go back and watch that one. But
it was amazing. I mean, frankly, it was like you weren't even there. And you weren't even there, which is the best part. I warned you. I said, don't mess with the banks.
Yeah.
And you just disappeared.
Well, folks,
what happened there,
when
Mr.
when my files come out, if it says redacted and it's not redacted, you know why. You know why. So let's just think about this for a second. The banks came after me because I came after them, and quite frankly, they came for me this morning too. They broke my toilet. Can you believe it?
Oh my God!
They broke my toilet.
Like they just put like a little explosive there to make it go off or something.
Yeah, they snapped my handle. Couldn't even flush my toilet this morning. They flashed and I thought to myself, this is a sign for me to continue fighting for the American people. This is my sign right here.
So you didn't take the helicopters or the going missing for a week as a sign. No, it was the toilet. That was
the toilet that made me say I got to keep fighting. Because if I was able to fix that toilet, imagine what I can do for the American people.
You know what? That is valid. Probably more than Democrats could, frankly.
Exactly. Folks, we're doing great things over here. They tried to shut me down. We're back. Right, we're back. When they shut me down, we just found a replacement. We got Nathan Bigelow to come in here and drop some facts for you. So, in reality, this is what I love about the Patriots Den, right? It's not two people. The Patriots Den is a den of lions, a den of patriots, a den of fighters. Anybody can step into the den, but I guarantee you won't leave the way you walked in.
Exactly.
Guarantee it. Because you're going to come in here, you're going to get the facts, you're going to get the truth, no matter who is telling it. Whether it's me, whether it's Brian Fuentes, whether it's Nathan Bigelow. Justin can get up here, and he'll drop some facts for you too. That's the wonders of the Patriots Den. It's not just ours, it's everyone's. That's what I love about it. And it reminds me of another person who likes to, share their wealth. Mr. Elon Musk, we want to thank you for your hard work and contributions to the American people. We really appreciate it. We've needed it for about 16 years?
I guess so.
16. How long has George Soros been funding this?
Oh, never mind. More than that, then.
Yeah, he's been in the situation. Have you seen how George Soros looks now?
I try not to, frankly.
It's a scary sight. It's like this guy is worse than Jerry Jones. Sorry to the Cowboys fans. Oops, out there. But so shout out to Elon Musk. Tesla stock. You had Tim Walz get up there giving his little speech, and he's like, "When I'm sad, I look at Tesla stocks, 250 and dropping." Well, Brian, tell the people about the Tesla stocks.
It's their stocks, all right. They were a bit green, and then the economy kind of did something, and now it's red. So they could be doing better, frankly.
Exactly. And so what I find funny is you have an American company, Tesla is an American company, who was in the booming era. Who was the reason why they were booming?
The American people.
The American people. The American people relied on Tesla. And so here you have a former vice presidential candidate, a man who wanted to be a heartbeat away from the highest position in the land.
Exactly.
Celebrating the downfall of an American company
who produces electric cars, the future of transportation that they're so much advocating for.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, no, those gas guzzling Dodge Chargers, they're great. It's sad that their company's not doing right, but Tesla, the efficient, electric cars, no, that's thank God they're failing. We need less of that in our country.
I saw a Democrat trade in their Tesla for a Honda or a Hyundai or whatever. And I say, well, there goes their care about the environment. It's like a switch in the back of their head, and somebody said, environment off, because Elon Musk doesn't agree with our abortion. We can't kill babies with Elon Musk. We can't, have these random gender reassignment surgeries. And, my favorite politician can't get rich off of, kazoo orchestra schemes.
It'd be like that, but hey, I'll do you one better.
Mm-hmm.
I saw someone put a V8 in a Tesla. Think about that for a second.
How does that work?
They had to redo the whole transmission because if you know anything about Teslas, the engine's in the back.
It's in the back, yeah. So how do you put a V8 in a Tesla? Is that I don't think that's it.
That's a thing.
They're really out here doing. Was that a liberal?
Actually,
Couldn't have been.
of course not.
It couldn't have been a liberal. A liberal doesn't know what a V8 is. A V8, they don't know what a transmission is. They don't know what an engine is. Quite frankly, they don't know what a tire is.
When I hear the word transmission, you know what they were thinking? Is it like a new gender or something?
It's a new show about a transgender FBI agent.
Live on HBO.
Live on HBO every week. It's transmission. It's a
mission.
Special agent
Exactly.
transgender. That's what they're thinking of. And it's funny to me, you know, we were just talking about this and how liberals are so
Disconnected
backwards.
from reality.
Disconnected. There's this trend going around on TikTok now where liberal women are looking for conservative-looking men with liberal values. I said, what does that even mean? And then you go and you look at the average liberal man. Quite frankly, that's becoming my new favorite phrase, by the way. Quite frankly, you know, I don't blame them. The average liberal man is, you know, a mentally just deranged, weak man who could do nothing for anybody, can barely help themselves. So now you have liberal women walking around here looking for a conservative-looking man. What does that even mean?
Well, but here's the issue with that. I mean, it doesn't exist, first of all.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the conservative values are based in, or conservative. To be conservative looking, you have conservative values, at least at our age. I mean, if you're thinking, we need to protect people who can't be protected, you know, the unborn. By nature, you're probably going to be a Christian, and by extension, you're going to want to, you know, be as close to Christ as you can. And once again, following that train of logic, you want to discipline yourself. You know, be free of temptation, be free of sin, or as close as you can to that. A liberal doesn't believe that. So I mean, say what you will. I know there's like progressive Christians out there, but at the end of the day, it's BS. Frankly, you can't be a progressive Christian. That's not a real thing.
Right.
Because the whole point of Christianity is to get closer to Christ, be more Christ-like. And if you're willing to, you know, keep on sinning without repentance, you know, you think you're above natural law because of some whatever reason, because you're an individual or you live in this country, it's idiotic. You know, there's sets of rules that are placed by our Lord and, you know, Creator. And whenever you try to basically say they don't apply to me for X, Y, Z, you're going against God, you're going against nature, and by extension, you're making yourself miserable. Humans aren't supposed to live like this. Like hyper-individualistic creatures that the only care of society should be is for the individual. It's the reason why depression's so high, or the reason why mental illness is so high. It's because the individual is the most important thing instead of the community and society as a whole.
If you look at the 2024 exit polls, every religious group in America, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hindu, whether you're Christian, whether you're Jewish, it didn't matter. There was a swing to the right. Every single
Except
group.
for one.
No, every single
Really?
religious group swung to the right this election. Granted, there was actually no group in America that swung to the left this go cycle. When I say swing to the left or right,
doesn't mean they all voted right.
Right, it just means there was
went in
an
that direction.
influx
I
of
see.
voters to the right. And that's because, like you said, when you're conservative, you have some kind of values. And, you know, one of the main things in value in religion is respect of self, respect of the God, respect of, you know, of rule
Those
of
around you
law,
as well.
and the respect of those around you. When you have the Democrat Party, which is a godless, lawless, low-life rule that has no respect for human life, no respect for personhood, no respect for anything at all, and treats, you know, the body as if it's just one of those come-and-go situations, that's why they're in the situation that they're in now. So when you see women saying they want someone with, you know, they want a conservative-looking man with liberal values, what they're saying is they want someone with you know, self-respect for themselves and the woman, while at the same time having the belief system that goes against that exact look.
Yep.
And, you know, it's funny, I love country music. I'm a country music listener. And there's this specific artist out there. Her name is Lainey Wilson, right? Country artist. And she created a song called Things a Man Ought to Know. And when you go to the average liberal and you go through her checklist. This is her personal checklist of if you wanted to, be with her, these are the things you got to know. If you go through that checklist, the average liberal man maybe hits one or two one or two with good luck, right? So it's the smallest speckle is, can you change a tire on the can you change a tire on the side of the road?
Or could you fix a toilet?
Could you fix a toilet at 8:00 in the morning before you have your cup of ambition? I don't think you can. Right? I'm sitting here right now. My hands have never been this dry because I was digging in toilet water this morning.
It's a struggle.
The average liberal man could not fathom digging in toilet water at 8 a.m. But a liberal man, his house cannot stand, and most of the time the woman is having to do everything anyway because the man's too scared or
ironically
timid to do anything. So now you have liberal women, they're like, well, we want a conservative looking man. And there's this one guy on TikTok, his name's Jared Schultz, I think that's his name. I don't know, I maybe got that wrong, but he goes to Texas A&M. And he says, well, I'm a conservative-looking man with liberal values. Do you know what his definition of conservative-looking man is? He goes to Texas A&M, by the way, so, let's not act like he was born and raised this way. He wears some jeans and some cowboy boots, and he can put on a little hat. Not a cowboy hat, a little cap. And I'm country. No, that's not how that works, but country is a lifestyle, and so you can put on the jeans, you can put on the boots, but when it came down to it, I got boots on right now, and, his boots look very clean. He's nice and they're nice and polished. They've never seen a day of hard work or labor a day in their life. But, and so now there's this fake look going around. Now liberal men
costume.
Right. Liberal men are playing dress up as conservatives with the liberal idea. And I'm like, you look crazy.
Yeah.
You come outside with your blue and purple hair as a man, right, that's coming down to your shoulders, and then you want to put on some cowboy boots and some jeans and look self-respectable, but then the moment you open your mouth, a bunch of stupid falls out of it. What gave it away, the hair or the words? Probably both.
Yeah, it's not necessarily very hard to pick up on it,
Right.
But it's the issue going on right now with the liberal movement. You want a good-looking guy, young guy, to represent your movement. Mm-hmm. There's always something right there. Mm-hmm. Wasn't there a new guy in Democrats who, new Gen Z guy, what's his name? Remember the guy who got canceled?
Harry Sisson.
There we go.
Harry Sisson.
What a great segue.
Everyone loves Harry. Everyone loves Harry Sisson. No, they don't. Harry Sisson. Well, I know Harry on a personal level. And so when I first met him, I thought, maybe this guy's gay. But then again, I have to remember he's a liberal. Even the gay liberals, the straight liberals, the bisexual liberals, and the transgender liberals, they all look the same. Man, woman, girl, or boy. It really doesn't matter. They all look the exact same.
Very androgynous.
Exactly. And so the way he just carried himself, yada, yada, yada. Then to find out he was a drunkard. He was a bisexual drunkard. Are we surprised? Not really. If I was a liberal and I had to, defend the Biden record, I'd be a bisexual drunkard too, because what am I doing with my life? He's getting canceled because, he was doing some explicit acts with women. Let's talk about it. He was talking to 11 different women, all in different states, on the app they call the Snapchat. And he was basically conning them into sending the, images of themselves to him. And he'd be drunk, saying some very interesting things towards them, very out-of-pocket things, borderline sexual harassment, if you do ask me. And then he'd try to play it as if they're the only person he's talking to, and, making it seem like he's some kind of, feminist online, though. So in front of the camera, he was so pro-women, he was so pro-this, so pro-that, but then behind the scenes, he was making very explicit jokes towards women.
Yeah.
Swiping up on and texting random women that he didn't know, asking them for, pictures of themselves, or if they, post a simple picture of themselves, out with some friends, he'd swipe up, say something explicit, and they're like, this guy's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And he would kind of bully them with his fame or whatever to, do whatever he wanted them to do. Well, 11 women here recently have came out and said, hey, this guy's a bad guy. And the reason they came out, my personal opinion, was because he went around and he told all these people that it was an explicit situation, that it was, it was just, I'm not talking to anybody else. It's just me and you, but this isn't an exclusive, explicit situation. If I wanted to go talk to someone else, I would. Mm-hmm. And then like a week later, he comes out with a girlfriend while at the same time still talking to this 11 different women. Yeah. He posts a girlfriend on TikTok, and now you have these women saying, well, wait a minute. I thought we were
going somewhere.
Somewhere, right? And so you were so pro-feminist. You called Donald Trump a woman abuser. You talked about his, you're saying, oh, he always does sexual misconduct, yada, yada, yada. After writing a tweet or making a TikTok about Trump being this and that, you literally close the TikTok and Twitter app, go to Snapchat, and then become the very thing that you hated.
It's a set of values, like I said earlier. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that discipline, you don't have that respect for yourself or others, this isn't wrong to them, because it's like, oh, mm-hmm. I'm just doing what feels good to me and what I want to do.
Right.
And I have no, what's the word? I don't owe you anything.
Right.
You might be, my fellow, human. You might be my fellow, my sister in Christ, but mm-hmm. that doesn't matter to them, because to them they're nothing. They're just they're just an object on a blue marble.
There is no neighborly love. I was talking to my professor at college, and we were talking about the abortion situation and how the liberals were walking around with personhood theory, saying that, well, if they don't have a certain mental cognitive, result, then they're not really a person.
Yeah.
They're a human being, they're a body, but they're a body with no purpose. And it's funny because the same person that invented the personhood theory, mm-hmm. his mother ended up getting Alzheimer's. So by his theory, he should have, put his mother down, yeah. as they would say. Do you think he put his mother down?
Of course not.
Of course not. So the argument against the theory is, so you have personhood theory, and then you have the your mother, not my mother theory, right? Where
rules for thee, but not for
rules
me.
for thee, but not for me. And he got confronted, and he was like, "What?" And people were like, "Well, you are walking around here saying that if a person's mental starts declining, or if a baby is 3 years old or younger, that it's not a person." Mm-hmm. Well, your mother has Alzheimer's, buddy. By your logic, if 2 + 2 is 4, there's your 4. Why aren't you, putting her down?
Getting the euthanasia ready.
Right. Why aren't you getting the euthanasia ready? You should have got that done immediately. Well, he didn't do it. Because did he change his theory?
Obviously not.
He literally walked around, went against his theory, but he didn't change his theory. Harry Sisson walked around saying one theory, but he didn't change his theory. And so we find that the liberals are in what I like to call a self-identity crisis. They're trying to figure out who they are and what they stand for, because whoever they thought they were and whatever they thought they stood for clearly didn't work in 2024. I'm sorry. Oh my. 2024, and it's not working in 2025. That's where that segment is going, right? So they are in a spot that if they don't figure out now, they won't be able to figure it out later on down the road. You got to know who you are and what you stand for. One of my favorite sayings is, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything.
Exactly.
And that's where they're in a situation where they're about to just fall for anything. Whoever looks the best on camera will put them up. And right now that guy is Timothy Walls.
With 2% still, though.
10%, not 2%.
That's what I said,
2%. 2% Tim Walz. And it's crazy because 2% Tim Walz was on the Gavin Newsom show. And, I didn't even know Gavin Newsom had a show. Let's get until Charlie Kirk went on. Charlie Kirk went on the show. I didn't even know he had a show. And he went on the show, and Tim Walz goes, I think I could beat up Trump voters. He said, some profanity with it. And he was like, and I think they're scared of me because of my masculinity. I can go change a tire, and I can hunt. That's the bare minimum for masculinity now? You can change a tire and hunt? Well, I know a lot of women who just became men. Maybe transgenders are real, folks.
You know, maybe the real gay frogs was the hunting and tire changing.
Right.
That's the real litmus test right there.
Right. That's it right there. When a woman says they want a conservative looking man with liberal values, their only two questions is, can you change your tire and can you hunt? As my favorite country artist, Hank Williams Jr. said, I'm going hunting at night, but I don't need a gun. Okay. So if that's the bare minimum, if that's what we're basing it on can you shoot an animal and can you, change a tire, where has the values of what makes a man gone? Where are the values of what makes a woman a woman? So we're doing a little something different here, guys. We're about to get into the personal side of things. The personal side of things right here. Brian, what makes, in your personal opinion, right? This, I would like to remind everyone that whatever is about to be said does not reflect the personal values of the Patriots Den podcast, the Micon production. Brian, the Patriots Den would like to know, all the people. You see the people? You look that way, look that way, look that way, look that way, look that way. Okay, you saw the people? Wonderful. They want to know, inquiring minds alike all over the world. Justin's listening right now. He wants to know, for you, personally, what makes a woman a woman?
Ooh, that's an interesting question, Mr. Prudhomme. I was told we were talking politics today. I wasn't told we're getting deep philosophical. I thought I told you we're not doing philosophy until you read some Aristotle.
Well, politics is philosophical. That's why politics and philosophy go together. It's follow. See how that worked? There you go.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you my answer after you do yours.
Well, you see, this is not how this show works. Right there, folks. Where is it? Let me look. There it is. It says host. So I'm hosting my show today, Brian. And last time I checked, I asked you the question a little first.
I think you mean asked.
What did I say?
Axe.
Same thing. The Southern accent comes out every now and then. I don't think that's
Southern accent, my
No,
friend.
that's Southern accent. It comes out every now and then. By the way, speaking of Southern, the rodeo last week to go to the rodeos this week. For my Houston folk, make sure y'all get out there. Back on topic. Brian, we know what the liberal women are looking for. So the question is, what are you looking for? And could you see yourself, possibly crossing party lines romantically?
Jesus. All right.
Is that the right way to say that? I don't know, but you knew what I meant. Go ahead.
All right. I guess we're going into this first. I don't know, man. Frankly, I have very simple standards, just as long as they have some respect for themselves is the main thing, really.
Can I pause you right there? So what about, the women with the hair under their arms, the green hair that are in the streets screaming? Are they just, they're off limits now?
Obviously, because they don't have respect for themselves. They're doing all these things to get attention, either for themselves or their movement.
Sorry, ladies out there, they're watching the show right now.
It's over.
You just broke a lot of hearts, man.
Ah, man. Now how is the world going to recover?
Oh, man. Let's go. Well, that's the first thing. Self-respect. That's number one. We're going to get to that one.
And then obviously God, you have to know that, have a belief in God, belief in something other than yourself, really. And I think...
Stop right there. See how we're doing this, folks? Belief, I like that. Belief in something other than yourself. That goes back to the self-respect. It's like I heard a saying a long time ago where it's like you love the art, but you hate the artist, and like something it's something along that lines, or something about the potter and the clay. I don't know, folks. Don't listen to me. No, listen to me, but don't listen to me right now. But yeah. So what we're saying here is that there's a pattern. Everything most likely is going to lead to number one, self-respect. What we're going to do with this is I'm going to highlight to you tonight, everyone, in this morning, the differences between the Democrats and the Republicans, all through the values of what Brian Fuentes wants in a woman. So we got self-respect and the belief in something other than yourself. Go ahead. What's number three?
I would just say self-improvement as well.
Self-improvement.
Being willing to see that, oh yeah, I did this wrong, and wanting to improve on myself instead of saying, I did something wrong, but it's not really my fault because of X, Y, Z.
Right. So again, if in order to do that, in order to take that accountability, you got to have a belief in something else other than yourself. And in order to have a belief in something else other than yourself, then you have to have enough respect for yourself to know that, yes, I love myself, but I don't know all the answers. And every now and then I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be right. What am I going to do when I am wrong? What am I going to do when I am right? Am I going to take this as a learning lesson, or I'm going to sit and sob, or just, take this one win and carry it for the rest of my life? How am I going to do it? So these are these three things. See how they're all tying in? We're going to tie them into the political parties in a second.
Yeah, but no, I mean, frankly, those are the main three. I think
those
everything
are
else is just really superficial and like, oh, wow, cool. But to answer the second question, it's like, oh, across party lines? Sure, but I mean, you're not really going to find those three
in someone across party lines.
Exactly.
Let's take a look at the Republican Party, people. The Republican Party has always been one to say, you know what? We made a mistake. We know that because we look at, the opponents we put up against Barack Obama, Mitt Romney and John McCain. The Republican Party were looking back and saying, you know what? We made a mistake. And instead of going back and trying to keep propping and pushing John McCain and Mitt Romney in the faces of the American people, they said, okay, we got to find something different. Something's got to give. Something's got to change, right? Instead of being, stuck up and saying, well, the American people just didn't want to, they weren't ready for it. What? That's not a logical argument that you can make. The Democrats, on their other hand, Kamala Harris, she lost badly, but they steadily want to push her up and prop her up. No, Americans weren't ready for the first black woman, Jamaican, Indian senator, Kamala, Vice President Harris.
And the same with Hillary as well. Like, a
Hillary's
whole book was written afterwards.
A whole book. And it's like they can't take accountability for themselves. Why? Because they don't have a belief in something else other than themselves. They believe. Democrats truly believe that they are 100% all the time, every day. That they'll never get it wrong. They'll never get it right. And when they do get it wrong, it's not their fault. It's the American voters' fault. That's what it's the fault of the rich. Tax the rich a little more and maybe we'll win. And that's all because they don't have respect for themselves. The Democrats could care. Honestly, I think the Democrats could care less. I think the Democrats enjoy losing more than they like winning, because when you're losing, you can, point fingers and blame everyone else, and you don't actually have to do anything. And then when they win, they actually got to do something, because people are like, all right, y'all are in power now. What are you going to do? And they can't do anything.
Yeah, they can't shift the blame to someone else because you had the power and you didn't do nothing.
Exactly. Which is why I think the Democrats, they like losing, because they can sit there and mope around and they can complain and say, well...
And get paid money for it, too.
Exactly. Look at the Democrats now outside the different government buildings talking about what they're going to do to Elon Musk when they see him. Tim Walz saying he's going to beat up Republicans, which I'd pay money to see Tim Walz fight some of the Trump supporters I know.
A little charity event,
Right. I don't know any Trump supporters in my personal life that I think Tim Walz would want to fight against. I'd be quite frank with you.
I don't know. I think, he'd have a solid chance against you, though.
Maybe. The only difference is...
After the hip was nerfed,
After the hip was nerfed in the bank, he'll bring the banks out on me. He'll bring, the banks.
And that'll be the end of your hostship.
And redact. No, I'd come back.
As a ghost or something, or?
Well, everyone knows that, when you're extreme, you don't die, you multiply. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply. Tim Walz could, waltz his way in here, but who was I? It was somebody that said they'd slap the tampon out of Tim. I said, that is the funniest thing I've heard in a very long time. That's number one. But yeah, he could come. I mean, I feel like, it'd be interesting. It'd be an interesting play. It'd be an interesting battle. But I'd like to clarify, he said WWE match. So, those are rigged. Those are scripted. That ain't real. So he wouldn't actually, take a street fight with a Trump supporter, because... You come down here, we don't dial 911. We've all seen the signs.
Yep.
We've all seen the signs. He doesn't want that. He couldn't load a gun in the, the hunting ad? The hunting ad. He couldn't even load his gun. I mean, the Democrats are truly in disarray right now. They're looking for a leader. They're looking for their new bright hope. And he or she just isn't, the snake isn't showing its head.
Or they.
I'm sorry. I forgot about the person at the DNC. I apologize for anyone's pronouns that I have not said or, gotten to yet. We will get to you later.
Is it me, or the whole pronouns thing a lot like my bad, not as bad as it used to be a few years ago? Because remember,
I give credit to Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker is why we don't have the pronoun issue anymore.
Because it was super bad a while back ago. It was Zer and stuff like that. And now it's it's either he, she, and then every now and then you get a they.
They are crazy. There you go. But no, do you remember when Herschel Walker, I'm not sure if you were paying, how close you were to politics, at the time in, I want to say the 2022 midterm? 2022 midterm when Herschel Walker ran for Georgia Senate. Senate in Georgia against Raphael Warnock. He had this great thing on his campaign. He said, "What the heck is a pronoun? I don't know what a pronoun is. What the heck is a pronoun?" And people were like, "Well, a noun is a person, place, or thing, yada, yada, yada." And he was like, "Well, I don't need that. I'm not a pronoun. My name is Herschel Walker." And ever since then, pronouns went away. No one else had a question about the pronouns because he came out and was like, "You don't need your pronoun. Just use your name, bud." Pronouns went away. Why? Because there was another there was another switch in the Democrats' mind, and that was no more pronouns, get Trump in jail. Right? And then Trump, joined them, and he came up with these new pronouns called convicted felon. And then he went a little further, and his new pronouns are first convicted felon / president of these United States of America, folks. I love that. I love that.
What a man, convicted felon, baby mamas,
Baby mama drama.
Friends with rappers,
Right.
He's truly a first.
Truly first. I see where you're going with that. You're not slick. He's not. This mic is trying to attack me. It's got the banks written all over it. I know it.
They're not happy you're back. You're supposed to be gone for a month.
I knew it. I knew it, folks. But Trump came in. He's breaking. He's breaking barriers. Trump broke the glass ceiling for convicted felons all over this country.
Damn. I'm sorry.
See, this is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things. Granted, gas prices are at a national average low because of a convicted felon. So crime does pay. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Eggs are at a national low.
They're down.
In the last 4 years, once again, because of a convicted felon, crime does pay. I wonder when the liberal women say they want a conservative-looking man, does that mean they want a convicted felon? I think we all should have a convicted felon in our lives now, because convicted felons are making America great again.
No comment. Okay. I'll tell you what, though.
You know what, folks? This guy across from me, he voted for a convicted felon, so he wants a convicted felon.
Say that, man.
He wanted a convicted felon in the White House. I personally would never vote for a convicted felon. I voted for the 45th president of the United States to be the 47th president of the United States. Thank you very much, Donald J. Trump. He, on the other hand, voted for convicted felon Donald Trump. There's a difference. One has a red tie, one wears a blue tie.
The mugshot looked really cool. I'm sorry.
The mugshot looked amazing. Sorry, no.
Oh,
actually, I have a shirt with the mugshot on it.
Gotcha.
I have a shirt with the mugshot on it. And it said, what is it? It says, something I'm still voting. Don't care, still voting Trump. And it's got his mugshot on it. Maybe I'll wear it one day for the podcast.
Maybe.
Show y'all the mugshot. And then the White House portrait looked exactly like the mugshot. What a genius. What a genius. Bro said, y'all want to, I'm going to show you just how great I am. Isn't that Muhammad Ali? It's Muhammad Ali today. Okay, folks. So when you get home or wherever you are, look up who said it. It's that today, right? So we got convicted felons making America great again. We got, so great to the point where the FBI is forgetting to redact their files. Shout out to JFK and RFK and all the Kennedys. Not all of them. What's Jack Schlossberg? Jack Schlossberg. He's like the grandson of RFK or JFK, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was upset. Because apparently the White House didn't, tell the Kennedy family that the files were being dropped when the White House told all of America that the files were being dropped. And then they dropped them, and, we found some very interesting information that only a convicted felon could get.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of interesting information.
We're not going to, dive into the extremities of it. I think everyone should go.
Want to hear the interesting part, too?
Read the files for themselves. Read the JFK files for yourself.
They can't. Why? Not all of it was released digitally. Some of the files were released physically and given to certain people. And those are being currently reviewed as we speak.
Folks, I know that read the files that are online. That's what I did. I read the files that were online. And then
there's a lot on those.
There, just kind of wait. I mean, it's better than the Epstein files. That was a sham
Okay.
and a PR
Pat,
stunt.
hear me out. The real reason we didn't get anything is because Kash Patel is going to do the funniest thing ever.
Which is?
He's going to drop the files right before the award shows.
I would love for Kash Patel to do that, but I don't think he's going to do it.
I mean, how funny would that be?
It'd be amazing. And then storm the place during the award show on live TV. Send in the FBI and just arrest all of them on live TV. But no, the files had nothing in it. It was there was one page that was just fully redacted. Nothing on that page was seen. And I said, this was a waste of my time. This was a PR stunt for people on social media to be like, oh, I'm at the White House getting the Epstein files. Congratulations, I guess. But what does that do for the American people?
Absolutely nothing.
We learned nothing. And if that's the case that the Department of Justice put together to try to lock Epstein up, they would have lost the case.
Yeah.
So, maybe they didn't. Maybe Epstein truly did kill himself, because if that's all they had on him, they didn't have a reason to kill him.
Really? I mean, you're not wrong. Hey, I'm just happy that no redactions on the JFK files, though. Not a single one.
No redactions. Thank you, convicted felon Donald Trump, for doing Mr. President, convicted felon Donald Trump. So many titles, man. That man is a legend right there. He's just right. What has Donald Trump not done? Exactly. The man's done everything.
We'll keep that one for later, after the show.
Let's think. No, I can't think of anything Trump hasn't done, man.
Fix the economy.
He did it in his first term. And he's going to do it on the second term. You just wait. You got to give it time. Everything will work out. Everything will balance itself. So, again, I ask, what has Trump not done?
Asked. It's an S and a K, not an X, Pat.
I'm going to axe you again.
You said it again.
With an axe. I'm going to axe you again. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
What
has Trump not done?
This is the Plato philosopher right here. He can't speak proper English.
I'm starting to think Brian is paid by the banks. I truly am. I think that my co-host is out to get me, and he doesn't want me to give you all what's happening just around in the federal government. I've been bringing y'all great news about the conservative-looking men with liberal ideas.
Yep.
And, finding them living under bridges and things of that nature. And Brian just continues to, it's okay. It's okay. Brian.
Would you prefer I rhymed it instead?
Brian, I'm gonna give you a little quote.
We're not doing this.
I'm gonna give you a little quote.
Can we not?
I'm gonna give you a little quote.
You're clip farming.
I'm gonna give you a little quote. You ready?
You're doing this in the Big 25.
Are you ready?
You're the host.
Okay, thank you. Radiodabang. I lost it.
Just like God intended. Anyhow, where were we? Federal government.
I lost it. Y'all got lucky today, because it's gone. Federal government is also corrupt. Thank you, Elon Musk. These people should sponsor me the way I just pop the thank yous out. Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, despite Tesla dropping, despite losing millions of dollars, despite losing, his multi-billion-dollar industry right now, Tesla, he keeps fighting. That is one of the core values of the Patriots Den. And the core values of this show is, no matter what they throw at you, keep fighting. Don't let, what the other side does or say about you stop you. I mean, I've been called everything that there is to be called. In fact, over spring break, I want to read you all, guys, a message that someone replied to the show with. And some of these were a lot of the words on the show, a lot of the words in the message I can't say. And I want to also say that the person that sent me this message is a doctor. This is a doctor, by the way. He says, F you, I'll let y'all fill in the blanks, you irrelevant effing, I don't know how to say this word without actually saying this word.
What does it start with?
It starts with a W. Here, I'll spell it out for you. Get your book, pen, and paper. F you irrelevant effing WHORE. Get a real job, you jack off. That's a doctor, folks, replying to a clip of the Patriots Den where we're exposing the Democrats. and basically showing, they have no logical argument. And that's how he decided to respond
A
to
doctor, the best thing he could have said. And it was like, you know what? I'm going to use a lot of profanity.
Right. And then call you a jackoff. That'll really get him.
Yeah. That's the reason you quit for a week.
Right. That's why I went on a little break. It just emotionally, I couldn't handle being called the jackoff.
He had to do it. Folks, he had to go to therapy.
I did.
He was at therapy for a whole week over this. we should invoice him for it, frankly.
Send him my medical bill.
Exactly.
And then file a lawsuit for emotional distress.
Insurance didn't cover it either because they didn't believe you at first. There's no way a doctor would say this to me.
He said it. But they almost told me to go see him to get my prescription. I said I won't. I
wouldn't. I refuse.
I would do it.
It's like going back to your abuser.
Right. These are the values of the Patriots. Is when things like this come your way, if you're gonna be in the den, you gotta fight. You have to fight. You have to stay on the front lines. The best example of that is convicted felon and president Donald J. Trump. They threw everything they could possibly at him, and he still stands above the crowd. Another example of that is John F. Kennedy. He didn't care what anyone had to say, whether it was a foreign government or whether it was the government here. He did what he had to say. And 39 years ago, the federal government killed the sitting president of the United States of America.
Yeah.
That's where we are as a country.
But, the government would never do anything bad to its people.
Let me give you some word of advice. If someone says the government would never do something, they've probably already done it. That's just kind of how American government works, which is very unfortunate. It's very sad that this is where we are as a country. It's where now we're sticking at each other, and I still haven't gotten over the fact that our government killed its president, duly elected by the people. Our government. Your government and my government killed its people. And you have Chuck Schumer going up saying that people want to get rid of government because they don't want to pay the government. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to pay the government because my tax dollars, if you were 39 years ago, your tax dollars went into killing the president of the United States. How does that make you feel, knowing that, that's how much weight the CIA and things carried?
It's scary, frankly.
Yeah.
And, that's just, how many years did it take us to find this out? 60 years.
Right.
Imagine when it just happened. This was, inconceivable.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. government could hurt its own people. And now it's, most people wouldn't be surprised anymore. We're, numb to the idea.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the ATF especially. Waco, Texas?
I do.
So, you already know. Why don't you tell the audience the story of Waco, Texas, one of the favorite stories of a pro-gun Texan.
In Waco?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the story. I know
Really?
the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms people. Was it? I don't know. Because I know you have red flag laws, but we don't have that in Texas.
So, what happened in Waco, Texas? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll take you back to a magical time a few decades ago in the magical city of Waco, Texas.
So magical. It's better than Disneyland. You should visit.
You really should. It's a place of pilgrimage for some. But, smiles away. Let's get a bit serious here. So, the ATF is told that there are illegal firearms at this facility where some fun people, we'll say they have an interesting take on Christianity, are basically living in a commune, if you will. And they're a self-sufficient community. They also participate in the community, though. So they're not just closed off and don't do anything.
Right.
They also interact with the community and try to help out as well. But the ATF was they might have illegal firearms, and that could hurt people. So you know what the ATF does?
Yes, they go and seize the weapons.
They try that, doesn't work, and they end up killing several people, women, children, and obviously the men too. I'm talking burning them out, gassing them out, shooting them as well. And it was a big controversy because the ATF basically killed its own people over some firearm charges. Innocent
Did the people have
women
illegal?
and children there's no excuse to kill women and children. I'm not saying one child. I'm talking several.
Right. No, but and then at the end of all this, after you killed all these people, then you did all that over what I'm guessing a false report. simply because
They don't know. They burned down the whole building. So
yeah, simply because you wanted to get rid of a group. That's really what it was. That was another ploy by the government, and it's sad that the government is weaponizing itself against its own people.
Or no, Ruby Ridge as well. You know that one?
I don't.
So, a very similar story. ATF. They got a report that this man has a sawed-off shotgun in his house because that's what the government should be spending their tax dollars on.
Right.
They go in and kill his entire family. They shoot his dog. They think the kid has a sniper, and they kill his son. And they also kill the dude's wife and child, like baby. And basically, he lost his entire family that day, and all because he didn't show up to court on time. He wasn't aware that he had his court date. That He wasn't informed properly, so he lost his entire family over a bureaucratic inaccuracy.
Yeah.
And this is all done by the ATF. So it's not like, they just didn't give him the money to provide for his family, or the government was just so inefficient that he lost all his money to tax dollars or eminent domain. No. They just straight up shot his family.
And these stories, the Democrats, the liberals, they use it as weaponization. There are so many conservative content creators who are put in similar stressful situations where they could lose their life because the Democrats know that the ATF has no problem with killing an American citizen. The CIA and the FBI, they have no problem just busting
They've done it before.
They've done it before. They'll do it again. And so you find these here recently, Democrats will, report like a certain conservative influencer, a bunch of different ones. So-and-so just shot someone in their home. And the SWAT team and everyone pulls up and they SWAT the people, guns to their head, ready to kill this influencer. And they get there. There is no gun. There is no body. No one was shot. It was a fake, false report just to put that person's life in danger and potentially take them out of the politics game. That's where we are as a country. That's a very dangerous precedent. But the only people with that little self-respect, that little belief in something else other than themselves, that's two of the three right there, is the Democrats. They could care less what happens to you.
Yep, as long as it gets their individual goals
exactly
through the door, and it's why there's frankly, after the show, I'll my choice words.
Yeah, like it's the Democrat Party won't last long because of how there's no accountability, there's no self-respect, and how
the leadership's all over the place.
Exactly.
Like they were literally just banking on this one election, fixing everything. They lost the election. Now they have no leadership. They have no direction. Every person they try to get on the train basically has a PR disaster within the month.
Right.
And it's like, they're gonna get something eventually, but they're disorganized right now. That means they can't fundraise, they can't promote, they can't really do anything, and all they can really do is just point at Trump and the things he's doing wrong, which is either going to be really good or really bad down the line.
Gavin Newsom was propped up as someone who was supposed to be a front runner. He was on a podcast with Charlie Kirk, and he turned around and he told him, he said, I don't think we should have men and women sports. The Democrats freak out. What? You don't care about trans people? La, da, 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 da. And so now Gavin Newsom's stock as being the next leader of the party, it plummeled because the Democrat Party has broken itself down into all these different subgroups. You have the far progressives, you have the communists, you have the socialists, you have the conservative Democrats, you have the moderate Democrats. You have all these different Democrats. No one's united behind one person because they all are basically different political ideologies, all trying to be wrapped up in one party.
Yeah, and that's, what can you say really? The party's not in a good spot right now. If they want to be competitive nationally, they really are going to have to get their stuff together.
Right.
Our good friend Beto has kind of just been a good example of that. He tries all these different things. He tries going for the far left. He tries being the moderate. But unfortunately for them, we live in the modern age where information is widely available. And, switching ideologies every 2 years is not going to look good on your campaign ticket.
Right.
So it's just like... hey, let's keep it local to Texas. Where do you think Beto's going to go next?
Well, I know he ran for a school board election.
There's no way Beto went down to school board.
Yeah, he ran for a school board election in, I think, San Antonio, wherever he's from. I'm not sure if he won that, though. I haven't looked at the results. I think he won. I would hope he won. You ran for president of the United States. If you can't win school board, then you probably should have never been on that stage. Personal opinion. But
I would say how the mighty have fallen, but that'd be a misuse of the word mighty.
Exactly. So we've broken it down for you, Phil. I want to kind of give like a recap of what today is. It's basically showing the hypocrisy of the left. How the very thing that they hate or say they hate is the very thing that they've become. And the thing that they said we're showing that, no, that's not what we are. We have respect for ourselves, respect for others. We have belief in something other than ourselves, and we believe in putting America first. Because this is our country, and we're going to take care of it. Liberals don't care. They don't care about this country. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about anything other than themselves. What a selfish party that is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words, frankly. Because, like, I'm over here trying to think, like, what good can I say about them? Because I want to, like I said, my thing is here. I want to be, the good cop. You're the bad cop, obviously. You're a very mean person, Mr. Prudhomme. And
I'm going to jack off. I'm sorry, guys.
The doctor was onto something.
Maybe he had a point. Maybe
the therapist was, not worth the money.
Right.
But I'm being serious. I'm, like, genuinely trying to think of what redeeming factors they have. And as far as I'm thinking, like, if Trump fixes the issues he has right now, they have nothing. Because their elections for the past 8 years at this point have been, we're better than Trump, or we're not Trump. And what's going to happen when Trump's no longer on the ticket?
Right.
You have nothing.
We got. If your whole identity is beating one guy, what are you gonna do when that when that doesn't happen? I'm trying to see.
Yeah. So no, it's like I'm trying to genuinely give them like props for something.
Yeah, I don't think Beto won his race for
school board.
Yeah, no, he didn't win.
Maybe next time.
And then he was gonna run for DNC chair, but he didn't run. Many people said he was gonna lose that anyway. So.
Well, it was fun, Mr. Beto. Having you around for what was it, 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder what Mr. Ted Cruz thinks about that. He was around long enough to see the rise and fall of Beto O'Rourke.
Right. And this is my I love giving good quotes. And this is my message to the Democrat Party and their race baiting and being in the spotlight in the PR. If you live for the applause, you'll die from the criticism. Because the moment that applause stops, the moment the noise is done, the cheers are done, and it's time to go back to the board and say, okay, look, guys, we might have won that, but here's where we messed up. The moment you break away from that, the moment you break away from the foundational values of planning and understanding, you win some, you lose some, you got to get up and shake yourself off. And the moment you make one thing your entire identity, the moment that one thing is ripped away from you, the moment that one thing is gone, what do you have to stand on?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. And the Democrats right now are in a situation where that one thing is now stripped away from them, and they have nothing to stand on. Meanwhile, the Republicans built their house upon the rock.
Exactly.
A firm foundation. And so no matter how hard it gets, no matter how rough it gets, we know that we have options, we have plans, and that no matter what, we have to continue moving forward, not for ourselves, but for the betterment of this country.
Yeah, and frankly, I think you hit all the points, really. This country will go in the direction of whatever party can get their stuff together. I told you this earlier. I do think the Republican Party is not in the best position at the same time. We're in a better position than Democrats by a long shot, just because we do have good candidates. We have decent leadership. And if J.D. Vance really gets his experience as VP and doesn't pull a Mike Pence, he should be right on ticket to replace Trump.
Right.
That's if, though. There's no guarantees as of right now. But you could argue there's never guarantees in life at all.
There's no guarantees in life at all. I'm a cards player. I love playing cards. And, one thing what I learned playing cards is there's no such thing as a guaranteed card. You just got to play the hand the way you were dealt it. And I think right now the Republicans are playing the hand very well. The Democrats are still trying to get it organized. They're trying to figure out the difference between a club and a spade.
Yep.
That's what's happening right now. And it's an unfortunate thing for them, but it's a great thing for us because I was talking to a friend of mine that's a Democrat, and he was like, yeah, this midterm, y'all got it. Y'all got it. I think y'all win this one. Y'all will sweep us. Y'all will let us have it. And the reason he said that is because they've been living for the applause all this time. And now the criticism is coming their way, and it's a hill that they're going to have to die on no matter what.
Yep. What do you think is the most likely outcome here? Do you think they're going to reform themselves, or do you think it's going to split and we're going to have new parties arise?
I think they'll reform themselves.
Really?
I think that they'll hopefully, if they're smart, they'll just go ahead and reform themselves. I don't see them breaking away and trying to start something completely new.
I want to say something completely new, but rather go their respective paths. The Republicans lately under Trump have been going for a Big Tent policy, where it's like we want to be Big Tent, have everyone be involved in the administration, the party. We have unionists working alongside libertarians. Like it's as Big Tent as you get. But the Democrats, they have a similar strategy with Big Tent. They want to have, the old dog Democrats, the unionists. They want to have the progressive socialists. They disagree on a lot of policies. Immigration is one of them, especially for these people. But you could also argue labor as well.
Right.
But once you get down to it, they're either going to have to find a way to combine all these values together to stay coherent and, by extension, effective.
Make wiggle room for each other.
Or, they're going to split apart just because they are so different from each other. You could argue we're different ourselves, but we have a unifying factor, which is we want to make America great again.
Make America great again, yeah.
They don't have that.
Right. Folks, we are in the last 10 minutes, and so what we're going to do here for these next, 6 minutes is we're going to let Brian, just keep going with that, man. Just leave out the time, because I got the question still remains is, if you were the Democrats, where do you go from here?
All right, that's a very good question. So first of all, I would emphasize local elections if I was the Democrats right now. Right now, local elections are a lot easier to win than national ones, and thankfully for them, they don't have any big national elections for another 2 years.
Right.
So right now, I would take time to reorganize, kind of see what direction I want my party to go into. If I'm a far-left Democrat, I would genuinely start getting ready to reform the party from the outside and the inside.
Right.
Start getting rid of the older generation, start getting in the newer people. But if I was classic Democrat, just a liberal, I would start weeding out the socialists and try adopting some of the policies that Trump wants, but are somewhat arguable to your own base. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, policies like that benefit the worker that you could argue are pro-America and not right or left. That would be my strategy. It would be more or less make the bipartisan issues Democrat issues. So whenever they get passed, it makes it look like you're winning and you're still being effective. Have your party work alongside Republicans temporarily so you can get legislation passed. That helps the American people. But once again, you don't make this sound like Trump's victory. You make it sound like the American people's victory.
Yeah.
So you delegitimize Trump at the same time that you make your party more legitimate as well. And during that time, you're reforming your party, making it more effective. So when 2022 comes around, you have your candidates ready, you have your party ready, and you're ready to compete with Trump. Either it's going to be on his level as a more liberal MAGA movement, or it's going to be as a completely different thing where you, instead of trying to win nationals right away, you're going to be a lot more radical, but you're going to be pushing radical positions across the country. New York, Oregon, Washington, California. You're going to be, you're going to be winning these elections no matter what. But now instead of having to compensate for the neocons or the liberals, you can just straight up push up the far left policies, no matter how radical they are, because you don't have to put up the facade anymore. And down the line, if the country goes in whatever direction, you can stay consistent with your values and you don't have to, compensate, which in the long term would be better for that side of the Democrat Party. But to answer the question, it really just depends on what kind of Democrat you are.
Yeah. And I love that word compensation. A lot of the Democrats have been compensating for their lack of winning, their lack of victory. They're trying to come up with these excuses and elaborate plans. The DNC chair stepped down. Even he was stepped down because he said maybe I'm the problem, and you didn't get a much better replacement. If I'm being honest, Justin was saying this earlier. He said, at the rate that everything's going, there may not be a Democrat Party anymore.
I think there'll always be a Democrat Party.
Absolutely.
It's not
the name will always be there, but the membership won't be there.
That's what I'm trying to get at. The name is too good to get rid of. Just like the Republican Party. If Trump lost, it would have still stayed there. There might have been a new party to replace it, but the name Republican Party, it gets automatic voters from people who don't know anything about politics. Same with the Democrat Party. A lot of people vote D and blue just because it's all they know. They think this aligns with me, even if it really doesn't.
Right.
And it's for that exact reason I don't think the party will ever go away. At least until, the population really decides to go for a new party.
And they start paying attention to what's actually going on around them in the politics.
Americans don't really have the need for that. They don't think it's their business or as they said, a lot of people like to say, I can't affect it, so why should I care anyways?
Right. And that's so wrong because we all play a part in affecting it. We all play a part in affecting this country, helping this country grow. But there it is, having a belief in something other than yourself. Do you believe in America? Do you believe in the power of American industry to, help you along this way in America? And many of them don't. They don't trust America. They don't trust the American way. And I look at them and I say, why are you here then?
I'll tell you what. There's a very great quote, a JFK quote to end, to end this all off. And I think you know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Want to say it?
Ask not.
There it is.
What your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country.
See, it was all connected. It's all part of the script,
Right.
The self-respect, the self-discipline, JFK getting murked by the government. It all ties in, so we can get that one quote in at the end of the show.
So there it is, folks. Those are the two quotes for the day. If you live for the applause, you'll die from the criticism. And then the JF Kennedy quote. Do not ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And the moment we get back to that, where people are truly working hard for American people, for other American people, for the United States of America, we'll go back to them good days. But as long as people are continue saying me, what can the government give me for free? What can the government give me for this, that, and the third? We'll never make it. We'll never get out of the position that we're in as long as people continue to leech. That's what I like to call it, leech off of nonsense.
Exactly. Get rid of this inefficiency and just stagnation that plagues our government.
Right. Folks, thank you all for tuning in to the Patriots Den. I'm your host, Patrick Prudham, and I'm here with my amazing co-host,
Brian Fuentes.
Yeah. And I hope that you all learned something today and can walk away and ask the question to yourself is, what am I doing for my country?
And am I really doing this for someone other than me?
Yeah. That's the questions that we got to ask ourselves. Who is it for?
Yep.
Who's the hard work for? Who's the labor for?
If it's not for someone else, it might as well be for God, your country. Just find something else. Because if you do it for yourself, you'll eventually realize there's nothing there.
Yeah. Nothing at all. Folks, keep the Democrats lifted because they need it. They need it badly. Of course, I'm not too mad about it. I'm okay with the Democratic Party collapse. Makes our jobs a little easier. But, man.
It won't be as fun.
It won't be as fun. It won't be as fun knowing that that there's a party out there that's so lost and confused about themselves, folks. So thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you all next week. Next week will be a special show.
Really?
Because, there's some things happening in the state of Texas. We're still getting arguments and everything made for that next week. They'll do the press conferences and everything this week. So next week we'll come on. We're going to have a special show, THC and private farming in Texas, and what y'all think about it. So we're going to have a special show tomorrow, next week, purely about the state of Texas. Y'all tune in.